Former Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, Michael Mizik, is once again the latest Turks and Caicos Islander to be echoing a call for a federation with the Bahamas. After making his feelings known last Sunday on the Bahamian JCN Sunday talk show Jones & Company, Mizik spoke to News 4 this morning from his home and said, quote, "Yes, I think the idea should be explored. Anything is better than what we have now." The former premier was referring to the present suspension of the TCI Constitution and the fact that the governor, Gordon Weatherwell, has complete control of the country. Mizik, during his telephone interview to News 4, also lamented that the governor should be held accountable for the lack of space for children wishing to attend school, a disgrace that never occurred under the PNP or PDM administration. Mizik, during the earlier interviews, commented, "It makes sense. It makes economic sense. We've just invested close to $150 million in building some very modern hospitals in Providenciales and Grand Turk, and people from Inagua and Maguana in the southeastern part of the Bahamas should be able to access that. We've introduced universal health care, and whether it's education, whether it's fighting the war on drugs, and some of these things we're still cooperating with. It just makes sense in this day with the global village for us to do so, as much as possible to cooperate. It is a fact that we're one people." However, not all political leaders share Mizik's optimism, and in fact, leader of the opposition's People's Democratic Movement, PDM, Floyd Seymour, when approached about the possibility of a union with the Bahamas, called it laughable. "It's just laughable. Any country wants to be self-governed and independent, and the Turks and Caicos Islands joining with the Bahamas is not something that I support." News 4 understands that when the Bahamas gained independence in 1973, the Turks and Caicos Islands turned down an offer to break away from being a British colony for what some at the time said was a fear that the Bahamas had too many islands to care for, and the Turks and Caicos Islands would be left out. But for years, the two countries have had a seemingly unbreakable bond. This is not the first time the topic of a federation with the Bahamas has been brought up. In March of this year, Galmo Williams, who served as premier until the suspension of the Constitution last month, also said that the possibility of forming a federation with the Bahamas is something to be explored. However, presently, the likelihood of such a federation seems unlikely, as it would require a public referendum and, in essence, a decision by the governor to take that stance. Also, there is the issue of applying to the UK for such an application to relinquish the TCI as one of their overseas territories. Judging by the swift manner in which the UK acted to suspend the Constitution and install an interim government, that suggestion seems very unlikely. What is also of interest is that to date the Bahamas has not expressed publicly whether they would consider accepting the TCI as a member of their island chains. News 4 will continue to monitor the situation.